City faces a very big question mark on where to house migrants this winter.
Now, this comes after Governor J.B. Pritzker rejected plans to build a tent city over environmental concerns.
Because Governor Pritzker halted construction Monday and Tuesday while the IEPA reviewed results. But it was by noon yesterday that he announced he was pulling the plug on the entire project. The site would have housed thousands of migrants. But first, the city hired a firm to conduct a $50,000 environmental test on that site. An 800-page report with those findings revealed the soil was contaminated with toxic metals that exceeded environmental standards. In the ground, lead, arsenic, and mercury that was higher than allowed, amongst other things. After days of silence, though, a reaction yesterday from Chicago's mayor.
Over the last 6 months, we have seen the effects the crisis has caused in Illinois, from health care coverage for undocumented exceeding the appropriated amount within one single month to $160 million of state funds shifted. This was done without legislative oversight and in just the last 6 weeks. Adding to this issue at the state level is the City of Chicago's disastrous response to this crisis, which has further accelerated the problem. As a result, Governor Pritzker decided to come in with his own plan without any discussion with Republicans. Now, in a few short months, the General Assembly will consider a supplemental budget bill. This budget bill is proposed to cover the cost for asylum seekers as well as undocumented immigrants.
Safe for the human being to live on the land that are polluted.
The Johnson administration hits another roadblock in its controversial project to build a migrant encampment on the southwest side.
In this latest twist, the governor's office has ordered a stop on construction due to what was discovered beneath the surface. Casey Cronus is in Brighton Park with more on this developing story. Casey.
Neighbors have been sounding the alarm since day one, calling the site unsafe. Now, the results of a long-awaited environmental study are out, and the state's latest move shows they are cause for concern.
Governor Pritzker pulled the plug on the controversial migrant camp in Brighton Park. The governor rejected the city's plan, saying there are too many environmental concerns at the site to proceed.
CBS 2's Tara Molina is live for us in Brighton Park with a closer look at the decision and reaction from the mayor. Tara.
Jim and Marie, there has been back and forth on this state-funded site for nearly 2 months now, and the city had just called it safe before the state stepped in, before the governor's office stepped in. We asked, what's next?
Construction on this site started last week, and you can see they made significant progress getting these tents up. City officials telling us over the weekend it was safe to house migrants after releasing an environmental review requiring the removal of contaminated soil. But today, Governor J.B. Pritzker's office said an Illinois Environmental Protection Agency review found, quote, insufficient soil sampling and remediation. They say this site does not meet state cleanup standards for residential use. The plan was to house up to 2,000 migrants here, but it's now unclear where or when a tent camp will be built for migrants who would have been housed here. We heard from Mayor Brandon Johnson and 12th Ward Alderman Julia Ramirez this afternoon.
The plan is consistent with what I've been implementing from the very beginning. Here's the plan: to eliminate police districts as grounds for shelter. That has always been the plan.
And so on one end, you know, we won't have that capacity to support the current crisis. On the other end, you know, throughout this process, there's been many layers that have been red flags, you know, for my office, for constituents here in the ward.
We know the state is working with the Archdiocese of Chicago to identify other possible brick and mortar locations for shelters. We actually touched base with the Archdiocese today. They told us that they're working on finding and securing those locations right now. Reporting live in Brighton Park, I'm Tara Molina, CBS 2 News.
Migrant crisis is being felt far from the border, including cities like Chicago, where officials say resources are running thin. Julia Ainsley is there tonight.
Tonight, officials warning Chicago is approaching a breaking point. Tents full of desperate migrants lining Chicago's iconic Lakeshore Drive. Migrant shelters inside O'Hare Airport. A total of 17,000 migrants showing up since last August, and officials expect 1,200 per day to keep coming.
Now Chicago is building sprawling tent camps to get migrants off the streets of places like this ahead of the cold winter months.
The smuggling group then actually motioned to our News Nation crew to come over. He apparently wanted to have some type of conversation. And Allie Bradley is certainly on top of all of this. She joined us live this morning for more on the story and what they had to say. Allie.
Yeah, hey, Adrienne, good morning. Right now, we're out here in Lukeville. There's about 600 people right now. A lot of them are huddled around fires that they've made out here. And that's a scene that we've been seeing play out down here as they're waiting. Some of these folks are waiting 2 to 3 days because of family units are prioritized. And as you just saw, family groups continue to pour across the border. And the cartels have really figured out that it's a really efficient way to get people across is by cutting holes in the wall. And they're also tying up Border Patrol when they're doing that. So here in Lukeville, we watched as one of 3 criminal cartel SUVs actually rolled up. And a lot of times they're blacked out at night. They don't even have their lights on, but it's all orchestrated. They are controlling all of this. You watch 8 people pour out of that car. They're escorted to the wall by smugglers, and then you see them cross through a hole. That hole was cut by them. The migrants then tell me they're from Peru. So you can see the older gentleman. He only has one leg. He needed some help getting through the breach point there. When they're done, that smuggler motioned for me to come over. So I went over there and I was standing there talking with him, and he was telling me that he didn't want me to record him.
Yes! 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 I'm wall-to-wall raccoons. Ready? Let's go.